Mr. Rouhani, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, and nice to see you this morning.
Good to see you virtually, Mr. Rouhani. But I mean, that meeting yesterday, first of all, I would like to get your thoughts on what you think about the meeting in Alaska on Friday. A lot of people say we saw another side of President Trump.
No, I think that geopolitics and geoeconomics are coming together. And what's happening is that the geopolitical effect of understanding the importance of having stability in Europe and in Asia is very, very important. So what you saw was the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the European Union, and OECD as one bloc, and Russia on the other hand, trying to get back to the former Soviet Union. I think we're just going through the motions. At the end of the day, I think there'll be peace, there'll be a truce, and then the markets will factor that in. But what I see right now is the markets have already factored in the fact that the peace will be achieved, not immediately, but over the next couple of weeks, and therefore you can see the price of oil hanging around $66. But yeah, what is more important is that the Jackson Hole Symposium, which is a very, very important symposium, central bankers across the world is taking place on Friday. And Jerome Powell is going to be making a speech. That speech always gives you a guidance as to, one, what the Fed policy on interest rates is going to be in the next 2 or 3 quarters. Don't forget Jerome Powell's term is coming to an end in May 2026. So he's going to make a comment. And what is important for all of us are this. One, the job report, which was discredited by Mr. Trump, showed that jobs, the unemployment is higher in America. But then, once that job report came out, it was almost clear that the Fed will have to lower rates. Then, suddenly, we saw the PPE and the inflation data. The inflation data shows that the tariff effect is just beginning to kick in, and therefore, inflation is right on the front burner in the United States. So, what I think that Jerome Powell is going to be saying that, look, we would like to cut rates, but we have to wait for the data, for the next inflation data to show us, one, whether the tariff effect has kicked in or not. But quite frankly, I think we're going to be seeing a cut, maybe 25 basis points, and maybe one more before the end of the year after that. So the Fed rate will go from 4.5 down to over 4% at the end of the year. Now, what are the implications of this for us? One, as an oil-producing economy, the moment you cut rates in the U.S., the dollar gets weakened, and as the dollar weakens, the price of commodities denominated in dollars, i.e. oil and gold, will actually go in the other direction. So it means that we are going to see a higher oil price, and also we will see, and that will have an effect on domestic inflation and the capital markets all over the world. It also means that equities in the U.S. markets will actually rise, and I think we've seen that already. That's why we are seeing record levels in the U.S. equity markets.
I'm talking about domestic. I mean, I don't even know the pump price of PMS at the pump these days. It's up one day, it's down the other day. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to even keep track. So sometimes even if the change is a bit, but you see changes and you try to connect it to what's happening globally, and sometimes you just fail. What's going on?
No, I think that one, the domestic petroleum markets, refined product markets, is clearly, there's a price leader, which is Dangote. Dangote is pricing his product based on its cost, depending on the crude for Naira swap. Also depending on his economies of scale, because it's the largest single train refiner in the world. So every time he scales up, his average cost comes down and is able to pass on part of that to the market. What does that mean for his competitors? His competitors are importing in some cases and are unable to compete. So right now, he has brought down the depot price to 820, and I think that we are seeing the price of petroleum products, PMS, the pump price is now at 865 Naira, which is much lower than what it was about 2-3 months ago when it was as high as 925 naira in many parts of the country. Not only that, Dangote is also beginning to have uniform pricing across the country using the CNG powered trucks. So if that happens, one, Nigeria will witness a drop in the price of PMS. We will also witness uniform pricing across the Federation, and we also witness a knock-on effect on inflation. Because don't forget that we've seen inflation decline 4 months in a row, but the harvest season is much shorter than previous years, and there are fears that maybe in the August inflation that will come out, we might begin to see maybe a reversal of that trend. If that happens, then the Central Bank of Nigeria will be hard put to continue or to actually reduce interest rates at its meeting in 4 weeks from today.
So what's happening to domestic food prices now, especially the food?
No, domestic food prices, what we've seen in the last few days is what we call some flatlining. Apart from onions, which just spiked automatically yesterday, I think, from what we gather, all other things remained flat. But talking to the flour millers, I spoke to some of them yesterday. This time of the year, normally they're soft because of the harvest. So you have the price of yam coming down, the price of beans coming down, and those are the substitutes for bread in the market. But I understand the price of flour as of yesterday was 61,500 naira a bag for premium. For value flour, which is the cheaper brand, it's about 57,000 naira. But I'm told that we are going to be seeing an increase in the price of flour in October because the harvest this year is much shorter. So all told, flatlining for now. If we see an increase in price of foodstuff in August because of the Mokwa flood, too, because of the harvest that was not as robust as it was in the previous years, then we might begin to think twice. But generally speaking, we think the inflationary trend will be flatlining and then begin to reduce towards the end of the year. If that happens, then we might begin to see a gradual decline in interest rates, depending on how the Monetary Policy Committee outcome. For now, I still call it, and I think that the Central Bank of Nigeria will probably help go along by reducing interest rates by about 25 basis points. But it's too early to say. Too many things are happening. One, the GDP numbers are out. Two, we will have one more inflation data point before then. And then what happens in Jackson Hole will also, where Jerome Powell sets the tone for the rest of the world, will influence our own central bank as well, because our central bank governor, I think, must be in attendance at Jackson Hole this time.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, for highlighting some of those very urgent economic issues. Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you for having me, Amy.